This is the first tutorial in my college algebra course. The first thing we do in my college algebra course is we talk about linear equations and how to solve for unknown variables. In this problem here, this is taken from the intermediate algebra textbook that we use for my course. Now the question goes, U-Haul charges, now U represents the unknown charges, $19.95 for a day, and 79 cents per mile for a 10-foot truck. Now, the total cost to rent a 10-foot truck for the day can be represented by the equation U equals 19.95 plus 0.79. Now, again, what's important here is that we have to remember that this is for the day. Now, some of the questions they ask us are to determine how much it will cost to rent a 10-foot truck from U-Haul and drive it 75 miles. So we know U represents the total cost in dollars to rent a 10-foot truck, but we don't know what that is. So we have to figure out, again, determine how much it will cost for you to rent a 10-foot truck from U-Haul and drive it 75 miles. Now, M stands for the total number of miles that it's driven. So they're giving us 75. So we can simply go in and rewrite this as U equals 19.95 plus 0.79 times 75. So the first thing we want to do is look at our order of operations. We want to go ahead and multiply 0.79 by 75, and this gives us 59.25. So let's go ahead and write out the rest of our problem. So U equals 19.95 plus 59.25. So U, which is the total cost in dollars to rent a 10-foot truck, equals $79.20. Okay, so let's take a look at the next question. The next question asks us to determine the number of miles you can travel for a cost of $175. Now in this question, they're actually giving us the $175, which is the total cost. Now we're trying to figure out the miles. So let's get out a clean sheet. Alright, here's our equation again. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace U with $175 plus 79 times M. Alright, now remember, we're trying to figure out M, so we want to get M on a side by itself and the rest of this over here. So what I'm going to do next is take 1995 and subtract it from each one. That leaves me with 155 here. And 0.79 times M on this side. The next thing I want to do is get rid of this 0.79. So I'm going to go ahead and divide, because we're multiplying here, from each side. And what we end up with is 196.266. And that's what M equals. Now I've brought out my calculator to show you sort of how the math works. We have 155 divided by 0.79. And what we want to do is we want to round up in that tenths place. So we get 196.266. Okay, let's take a look at another problem before we move on to the next video. The question from the book goes, while you were in spring break in Fort Lauderdale, the cost, that's C, so C equals cost. Let's just write that above it here. Cost in dollars of your taxi ride from the airport to your hotel can be represented by this equation. Now, C equals cost and M equals mile. Now, the first question asks, what will an 8-mile taxi ride cost? So go ahead and pause this video and go ahead and write out the equation first. C equals cost plus 240 times 8. Go ahead and pause the video, work this out on your paper, and then when you unpause it, we'll go ahead and solve the equation. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this out. The first thing you want to do is multiply $2.40 times 8. And what that leaves us with is $19.20. Then we want to go ahead and add our $2.10 plus our $19.20 here. And that leaves us with $21.30. Alright, let's take a look at one last problem. The problem reads, how many miles can you ride for a budget of $35 for the taxi? So here's our cash, and we know that we have 35 here. So let's go ahead and rewrite our formula so we don't screw up. C equals 210 plus $2.40 times the number of miles. So at this point, we have the cash. We've got 35. And what we're trying to figure out is the number of miles we can go. So again, we want to make sure that we get all of this onto this side. Okay? So let's start with subtracting. Let's put a minus here. Let's go back a second. Let's start by subtracting 210 from each side, leaving us with 0 here and $32.90 here. And on the other side, we're left with 240m times number of miles. The next thing we have to do is divide 240 by 240. This leaves us with 1 times m, which leaves us with m. And our 32, I wrote 39.90, 32.90 divided by 240 leaves us with $13. And we get a rounded number, so we're just going to go up to 71. So about $13.71. So in the next video, we're going to go into talking a little bit about how to calculate business costs and how to create our own equations similar to these, costs and miles and such, just out of reading out of a word problem.